So welcome once again to Table Talk with myself, Gwen, Yvonne and Elham. And you may be saying to yourself, what is Table Talk? Well, it's three women sitting around a table talking. However, in today's climate, we're sitting around a laptop. But we started having conversations that we thought might be of interest to you. So we decided to come here and share what it is we talk about that might interest you. Now, if you are interested in our channel and you like what we're presenting, please, can you subscribe to our channel? YouTube likes subscribers. So the more we can get what we're talking about out there, the better that we can help and support people in the community. So today our topic is rest. And the question on my lips is, how can I learn to truly and properly rest? And how can I remind myself every time that I'm tired, in fact, exhausted, that I haven't listened to my body and I haven't rested? So what is rest? So I'm just going to let my two wonderful friends introduce themselves, and then we'll get stuck right into that in a gentle, restful way. Okay, over to one of you.
So good morning, my name is Elham Kashefi and I'm the director of the Tara Centre and long-time friend of both of you. And we've been through many periods of having this very conversation. So that's what I'd like to pick up on, why we keep going round and round in circles.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Yvonne, and yeah, we've been friends for some years now and met during a working project that was part of the community, and so in our hearts we still have that desire to make a difference and be of support. And in this changing climate, how do we do that? I feel that we've had some amazing conversations, and it comes from like times when we're really upset about something to times we're in hysterics about something, and that is what we'd love to share with you, all the range of emotions, whatever come up, and no judgment with it. It's all just as it is. So yeah, great to be here.
So what started our conversation today was we all came on and went, oh, how are you? Oh, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. And well, for me personally, what I realized is that, like Elham says, I never seem to learn. I never seem to actually realize that the doing in life is important, you know, inspired action to get things done, fair enough. But it's really important to rest in between. And now what does rest mean to me? It's actually, and I was just saying to Elham earlier, I thought I was resting yesterday when I watched a film, but I'm still engaged. You know, I'm still doing something, aren't I? You know, so I think I really will need to learn what this is, because I don't think we were ever really taught the importance of rest and integration. And that's also for me what rest is about. It's about, like, this time of the year is very much about rest. This is when nature rests, and we're so out of tune with the cycles that we forget to rest at this time. This is a gift to us. We get to rest. But what happens is, one, we've forgotten how to rest, and two, we're all getting geared up for Christmas. And that seems to come right in the middle of winter, which completely interrupts this wonderful, restful period. And in many cultures, it's seen as the dreaming. This is the time when we can just sit, reflect on the year that's been, and enjoy just savoring what might come, and dream into, allow ourselves, when we're not doing anything, to imagine. And in America today, they're celebrating Thanksgiving. And I really wanted to mention that because that, to me, that is, I've got a hot water bottle behind my back. I'm too miserable to put the heating on. But, you know, in America today, they're celebrating Thanksgiving, which I think is also part of rest. It's that stop, isn't it? And just take time to give thanks for everything that we've got and everything that we've been through, no matter how difficult, no matter how joyful, but with a view to opening up to the possibility of the future. So that's a long-winded view from me. Just wonder what, Yvonne, I was going to hybrid your name there.
New name, thank you. Yeah, new name.
Okay, what about you, Yvonne? What does that mean to you?
Rest means to me, I think it was very beautiful what you were saying, and to actually acknowledge the Indigenous peoples that we've lost connection with, that our ancestors would have known how to rest. They would have followed. And for me, rest is where you said it's the stop. What came to mind was the beautiful story you've told me of your a small child, should I say, that you watched, and at one day you saw, because you spoke his name, actually stood like a statue and reminded you of when we were children, that if we stood still, we thought that we might be invisible. But the action of the stopping would be allow me to slow my mind down. So rest for me has become, it's been in stages. It started from, I didn't have a really good relationship with silence. In fact, I didn't realize how an awful relationship I had with silence. Silence represented to me the potential of chaos. You know, there's a storm brewing if my environment's silent. And so I would always have sound around me. And then to go into the silence and go through that, whatever it was, to come into stillness. And what is stillness? Well, stillness I found in nature, but then I was still distracted by, oh, that's beautiful. Oh, look at this little, so my mind was still distracted until I've come to a place of practicing, and I'm not mastered it, but practicing to be in this very moment and to feel that stillness, which is just so beautiful. It's like I could want for nothing else. However, it comes and goes and comes and goes and comes and goes, but the desire is stronger to do that. And it's not necessarily that I am in a period of like solitude and contemplation, come from the lockdown, but started before then. However, it's really being able to practice and master that being in the moment, which allows me to gently go out and not be distracted by my environment, whether it's good or noisy, you know, whether it's distracting. And distraction is distraction, whether it's beautiful, that's what I've come to see, whether it's beautiful or whether it's disturbing, discordant, it's still distracting me from my present stillness. And that is, yeah, where I am, and practicing in the desire to go more deeply into that.
Just before we go on to Elham, how do you do that?
How do I do that?
Yeah, how do you come in, you know, you said to be more present. I'm sure there's lots of people listening might think, well, how do you do that? What does that look like?
Well, for me, it's become a practice. I've had I've used the time alone to explore something, to explore a pathway into what would be helpful to me? Mindfulness. I mean, the web is full of amazing, wonderful teachers, aren't there? All kinds of that you would call spirituality, but really it's my natural, who am I really? I feel it's like, for many people, I'm not saying for everybody, but for many people, if you start with that question of like, what is going on in my world? I mean, what is all this about? All this bullshit, should I say? You know, that's where it started for me. And then the sequence of events that just take you deeper into wanting to know. As soon as you ask that question, I feel like it's an automated, something happens inside and it just automatically, like any stage of life, like puberty, like growing up, like anything, it just comes into, and you sort of like find a way. That's what I feel happened for me, and I see it with other people as well. It's like something takes you there, some question inside you, and then you're following. And where it's led to me is to the non-dual teachers of Rupert Spear has been recently, where I've hooked up with, and it resonates with me. If I'd have looked at him 4 or 5 years ago, I'd have thought, what the heck is he talking about? You know, it's like when you're ready, what is that adage? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And lo and behold, you were my first 2 teachers along with Mr. McGregor. And then it's just numerous. I feel like but it started for me with that question of like, what is going on? What is all this nonsense about? It really started, my dad died and I was in the middle of, I was an entrepreneur, successful business, madly busy, and my words out my mouth was, oh my God, Dad, couldn't you have died at a different time? I was like, I shocked myself into, that is absolutely ridiculous, that you have to die that your death was inconvenient to me. It was really upsetting. So from there started the questions of, so it was an event for me. And lockdown is an event. Maybe other people have got this question of like, what is going on? This world's got nutty. They say that and they say this and this is going on. And when I'll work again, it's uncertainty, isn't it? It triggers up uncertainty. And yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I remember you telling me that about your dad, actually. That must have been a pivotal moment. And it's great that you honoured it, because, you know, you could have chosen to just carry on the same, and lots of people do. I think one of the reasons why, well, there's lots of reasons why I'm so tired. One is because I slept late. That's just an immediate thing. But in general, I've noticed that the first sort of 3-4 months of lockdown, I was able to keep, you know, my practice and keep, and the weather was good, wasn't it? And, you know, everyone, it was like everything was quiet, the birds were loud, and the spring was beautiful. Through summer, I was okay. Through autumn, early autumn, I was okay. And it's really in the last, I would say, month or so, partially because I've lost a friend and I've been grieving, and I've found it incredibly difficult to grieve isolated in my house without having, you know, being able to grieve collectively, to look into the eyes of her family, to say goodbye properly. That has it's almost like you're sitting on your grief in a way, because lockdown has meant that we've not been able to be part of that collective ritual, and that's been really exhausting for me to sort of just think, I'm just dealing with this on my own. I've realized how much we need that collective community and ritual and honoring in the collective. Really, that's been a major strain on my heart, I think. It's like the background to everything else. But on another level, I take on too much responsibility for everyone. Somewhere along the line, I don't know where, I've learned that I'm responsible for other people's happiness, and I'm responsible for making things better, and that what I need is the bottom of the pile. So I don't know where I've learned this. I don't know who's handed it down to me. It's probably generational, probably in the ether of womanhood. You know, many women have the same problem, and mothers, you know, daughters, mothers, wives. It seems to be intergenerational thing until you kind of stop and look at it. But so for me, it's I was saying earlier when we first started talking that I feel like a 2-year-old, you know, that keeps running round until she's exhausted, and there's no adult around to say stop running around, just go and have a nap. I haven't got that adult part of me. It needs literally somebody on the outside to sort of point it out to me. And I just feel you know, it's like, so the grief on top of the, and also hearing stories of what's going on for people, and taking responsibility of doing something about it. I take on responsibility for wanting to help whoever I can, and it's exhausting, and I don't need to, but I do. I wake up with a burning fire to want to help people. I don't know, it's a good thing, bad thing. It's a bad thing if it's to the detriment of your own health, for sure. Yeah, so there's many layers. There's like this chronic exhaustion of the past 8 months. Yeah, and also, you know, we live in a house of 3 of us working from home. I'm never alone. Never. I'm never alone, unless I go for a walk, and then I'm never alone because I live in the middle of a city. So yeah, it's quite.
I was going to say, imagine, Elham, that a lot of people might be experiencing that at the minute. They're in the house, and it's really difficult to find somewhere to just go and have a bit of peace and quiet, or to be able to just take care of yourself. And you also said, you know, where did this come from, this sense of responsibility? I wonder how many of us actually feel that guilty about taking that time for ourselves, or actually resting because we should be doing something. There's a lot of shoulds, isn't there, in our culture? And rest, I don't think necessarily, going back to the Indigenous comment, you know, it was understood that you came down from the mountains, you know, you'd harvested, so everything came into the house. And that was then, you know, whatever needed doing, whether, you know, you were making your jams, your ferments, or salting, or whatever it was all quietly done within the house. So that was in the culture. So would you say that our culture doesn't even encourage it, or even have it within us to be for it to be acceptable?
Definitely, but it's exacerbated right now, isn't it? Because it's like end of lockdown was 2nd of December, and it's almost like, okay, time to get out, you know, time to go and do the things you didn't do in the last month. There's like this time to push, right, like let's go and do the thing. And it's strange, isn't it, that suddenly we can all mix over Christmas, and everyone's being quiet, but suddenly you can have a social gathering over Christmas. It's just there's Black Friday, Cyber Monday, shop till you drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all there's no encouragement to just, you know, stop. I mean, I've penciled in 18th of December. I'm stopping for 2 weeks. Whatever happens to the world, I'm stopping for 2 weeks.
I've got to ask you this question. How do you imagine you're going to do that? I know what you're like. And you just said every morning you get up, you wake up, you think, what can I do? So in the same way as I asked Yvonne, what does presents mean to her? What does that mean to you? What does that look like?
I'm going to try and let myself off the hook, and actually allow myself to do things that I enjoy, rather than filling in funding bids, updating policies,
Yeah.
answering phone. I'm going to switch my phone off for a few days, which I never do.
Ooh.
I never do, because, you know, I want to be in touch with family as well. But I'll forewarn people that to contact somebody else if they will. Yeah, so it's like there's this thing of like always being on alert. I think that's the thing about your phone. You're always available. And it's not just people ringing, it's WhatsApp, Messenger, Voxer, you know, it's like, yeah, it's like you're 24 hours a day, you're available. There's emails. I sent an email to someone, I won't mention which organization, 11 o'clock, and I got a reply back 11 o'clock at night, a professional. And I got a reply back at 11 o'clock at night. She was also working at 11 o'clock at night.
Mm.
And we had a work conversation 11 o'clock at night on a Friday. That's the madness.
Yeah. Yeah.
The word that's coming up for me is allow, and in my world it was like, can I allow myself to just sit down as soon as I've got out of bed? Can I allow myself to just sit down here and not do anything and look at that pile of pots that I decide need doing? And that was like the, you know, coming from work and all that to this, it was like allow. That has come strongly from me this year. It's like, what can I allow myself to do without judging myself and, like you say, feeling guilty, because it does bring up all that stuff. However, it's necessary. It's necessary because, like you say, it'll continue. I could continue like the 2-year-old, keep going round, and until the only way I could allow myself to rest is be exhausted and go to bed, and then I'm out for the count. That's the only way I could allow myself to do it until I can accept, okay, I'm listening to myself. I'm listening to myself. Not listening to these objects that say, oh, I need dusting. I mean, there's 6 inches of dust on my dressing room table. That's not good, is it? But, you know, what's good or what's bad, does it matter? It's dust. If I breathe that in or I breathe something out, it doesn't matter, does it? It's not.
I'm not having a sleepover at your house.
Yeah, not having a sleepover. It keeps visitors away.
One of the things that I think,
the dreaded C word, keeps visitors away. So
one of the things that I think I'm struggling with, that's making me tired as well, is trying to navigate all the changes in regulations and stay open as a community organisation. The number of pivots we've done. I mean, we started off as an organisation that offers touch therapy to help people recover from trauma mainly, and meditation, and lots of hugs and love and kisses and close contact, looking in the eye. That's who we were. And the number of pivots we've had to do with every single few weeks, every month, sometimes twice a month, we've had to read all these policies and say, okay, so we can't do that, what can we do? And we've ended up with online support and a community gardening project. That's what, and a walking group. It's making me laugh, but which is great. Actually, it's great that we still find ways to connect, but it's so removed from the work we were doing. You know, like online Facebook meditation. Obviously, it's not the same as being in the same room as and a teacher leading a group. And we've done it, you know, consistently since the first day we came home and I closed the centre. But it's exhausting to keep changing. It's exhausting to keep being creative and think, okay, it would have been a lot easier to just close the doors and to have this time off. But it wouldn't, in my heart, it wouldn't have been easier.
No. And I've been involved with you recently in your projects, and they're great. But what you just said that there now reminded me when we first went into the first lockdown. As you say, we had the summer and we all kind of relaxed into it. I'm not saying all, by the way, because I know a lot of people didn't, but we gradually adapted to the doing less. And we got all accustomed to going on Zoom and doing all these things on Zoom. The second lockdown comes along, and I feel like I have now been busier than I have for ages, for that very reason. It's like we're all getting creative about, well, what can we do if we can't go places? And how can we get through the loopholes? So I am now going out and meeting people in a therapeutic setting because it's a community setting. And I'm doing all these things online that I never did before. No wonder I can't rest. I'm so busy on the technology now. That I think you're absolutely right. You know, it's too it's what's the word? We're in that state of heightened state around technology as well. I really do think we all need to have I think that's a brilliant idea what you said, time off, time away, time off. And I'm actually going to take that on board. But just going back to the conversation about the child, you know, the 2-year-old, I have felt that. I have felt like that inconsolable child that can neither rest. I mean, one minute I'm crying and then maybe I'm laughing, or I just actually don't know what to do with myself. I can't self-soothe. So I wonder if you might have some answers to my question for me. How might I self-soothe to be the mother to my to be the mother to that child, to enable her to just calm?
I mean, I'm sure Yvonne's got some ideas, but I'll just say quickly, I haven't got that many ideas, but the way I'm dealing with it is to just bring compassion to that part of me that's really exhausted and running around, to not be judgmental, to not berate myself, you know, because I generally tend to be the person who's supporting other people. So there's some part of you, or you think, oh, well, you should know better than that. The
Yeah.
truth is, I'm no different to anyone else, and I have to practice the same as everyone else. And the best practice I know is love, to bring love and compassion to, is always the answer. It doesn't matter what your problem is. It's like, what would love do? How can I bring more love into my life right now? And that could just mean saying no, finding a few things to say no to. So this week I've hardly done any work, and I've watched some Christmas movies. I've gone for some walks. I've called a few friends. And I've tried not to feel guilty about anything. So, and I've cried if I've wanted to from exhaustion, and I've shared that with whoever I've needed to. And yeah, so what it's like being your own best friend would be just, it's okay. It's okay to be having this. You know, we're in the middle of a global situation here. You know, and as sensitive people, you know, it looks like I have a wall here and a wall there, and that my neighbors are separate. I'm not separate. I'm no different to the people sleeping behind these few bricks. You know, their vibrations are within my field. When I go out, the vibrations of all those people I pass on the street are within my field. In the collective mind, you know, in the collective field, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's sadness, there's grief, there's anger. You know, people have lost, there's been a lot of loss that we haven't been able to process. I mean, I think when we come out of all this is when we'll see the actual result.
Yeah.
There's been abuse, there's been all kinds of things. Lots of good things have happened, and beauty and kindness too, don't get me wrong. But, you know, the amount of pressure on everyone, doesn't matter what your financial situation, what your housing situation, there's so much pressure. I can feel it on I don't know if you feel it, but I can literally feel it on my heart. So yeah, it's just a difficult time. And so what I would bring to it is to let myself off the hook.
Thanks. Thank you. We're about to finish up. So would you like to add something to that, Yvonne?
I think that's really it. Let yourself off the hook, because those thoughts and feelings come up continuously. It's like it is generic, it is universal, it's for all of us. But one great tip that I will say that you've shared with me since eons ago, and it's to do one of the therapies that you used to practice, or you still practice, and it's the EFT, but just to tap. just this tapping motion. I don't know. It's like a self-soothing, like you tap on a baby, and just, you know, it just is in my moments of like intense, I'm going to kill myself because it's the only way out kind of moment. Not that, you know what I mean? It's that it's really intense. It's like, there's no way out of this. I just remember it somehow. It just really helps if I don't do any other of it. But yeah, and to explore the others, and sit down like you do with a 2-year-old. Stop. Sit
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, I think it's something as well about quieting the mind, all that self-talk. I noticed that, and I often do that tapping as well. And it's about coming back to the body. And I've just introduced a new practice as of this morning, actually, where I just breathe in and out of my heart. And I've just set it for a very small time at the minute until it becomes a practice, because I notice what happens is when I try to come out of the mind, maybe go into the heart space, when I do get into the heart space, the mind is quiet, but it often takes me a while to get there, and there's a lot of talk going on. But I have found that really helpful. And sometimes what gently guides me to that place is Qigong. And I have a Qigong practice, because when I'm breathing and I'm in the body, the mind is quiet. And for me, it's the mind that needs to be quiet and resting. And I often just say to my mind, you can rest now. Okay, well, that was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. I actually want to carry on, but I think 30 minutes is probably long enough for people watching in, and we're really, really grateful for you joining us if you've got this far. But what we'd love, what was that, Elham?
They've probably fallen asleep from exhaustion.
Or maybe they're resting. That would be fine. You're falling asleep because you're resting, not that you're bored to death.
Keep tapping.
Keep tapping, definitely.
Keep tapping.
So your comments are so welcome, and thank you to those people that have been commenting. And we look forward to joining with you on the next occasion. So please post below if you have any ideas of what you'd like us to talk about. We can talk about anything, you know, so whatever you want us to talk about, don't you worry, we'll have something to say about it. So love to you all, blessings and on this Thanksgiving Day, and maybe no matter how hard life is, think of something that you give thanks for today. All the best now from all of us. Bye.
Bye.